This is the moment where your problems and struggles increase and your support decreases. And this is what we call the middle. And the middle is a point where you're in your journey and you're actually within the journey. You're not starting, you're not thinking about it, you're not just barely getting in that zone of excitement and just hitting the ground running. You don't have those people alongside you that are like, yeah, go after it, do whatever you can. You're really doing everything. You're sleeping on the floor. You're doing something like just to go after and get your feet started, right? Your next step. And then you have the moment of you've already like made it enough where it almost doesn't matter anymore. Like you're now considered a leader position. You're now like you've made it. Like everybody now looks up to you. Everybody wants advice from you. Everybody wants to appreciate what you've done. All the struggles that you went through. They have more respect for you. They have a different level of support for you because they know what you've had to gone through and to get to where you are, and they know how much value you are providing. Now, in the beginning, it's just that excitement that keeps that support alongside you. And then once you get in the middle, something crazy happens. Like, let's put a support, on the sidelines for a second. When you're in the journey, that's when the work is being done. Like, when you're in the middle of it, that's when the hardest work is being done. It's when it's looked over. You have a lot of like private victories. Like nobody really knows the wins you have. Nobody really knows the problems that you have. And it's not that everybody needs to know either. It's just that it's all hidden in silence. Like nobody really knows what's going on. And you're just tackling the next problem and the problem after the problem. And then you're also always in this state of confusion, and you maybe are doubting yourself, or you're just going through things that might be like on the verge of bankruptcy or collapse. And then there's the highs and lows of like you win and you get a big win and you're juiced up for a little bit. And and the reason I wanted to make this video today is because, quite honestly, I'm a little like I almost didn't make this video. Like I almost didn't want to push record because I'm like out of clarity. I feel foggy. I'm like, I don't know. I don't have everything put together for this quite yet. I don't want to, share it. But then I realized something, and this is the most important thing, is like, this is exactly, the experience I want to share is like when you're in the middle of it, besides being, on the top, like you're on the highs, and then you're on the lows, so you can always talk about it. Like right now, I'm very like much in the middle where it's like I don't like have a high to talk about. I don't have a low, and there's nothing to really grab onto that would shake things up or like bring some sort of excitement, and that's what this is all about is the middle. The middle is barely any usually excitement. It's just going with the flow, staying consistent every single day. Sometimes it doesn't feel like you're moving. Sometimes it feels like, you might be going backwards. And in the beginning, you have this strong momentum feeling, this strong push, because you have this level of excitement. It's like whenever, and you have the shiny object syndrome, it's the same thing. You have like such a level of excitement and motivation. Whenever you get into a new relationship where it's like, sparks are flying, like you have this extra push, and then till those die off, right? There's always those dopamine rushes in the beginning that keep it on a high. And then you also have the support on the outside within that dopamine rush where it's like everybody's just like excited for you. And then it like dies off because then it's like, I mean, think about it. It ends up being just the normal. It ends up being just like, okay, yeah, I mean, he's doing that thing. Like, of course he is. Or it's like, maybe your support actually even goes down where it's like, well, it was cool like to help him in the beginning, like give him a leg up, but no, now he's like fell off. Now he's completely different. Now he's, changed. And it's the craziest thing because it's like, yeah, of course. Like of course he's changed. He's growing. He or she's like going through the struggles and the problems and trying to grow. Like, yeah, of course there's losses. Of course there's mistakes. Of course there's things. Like in the beginning, even on the outside, even with yourself, when you're getting into it, you're like looking very surface level. And a lot of the support is looking surface level, where they're just like, they might be supporting an idealized version, or you might be, coming up with it yourself when you're looking at, the things you want to do and the goals you want to achieve. You're like, you're just so lost in the emotion of excitement that everything else that is actual, the real pain and the real is going to come out later when it's a little bit tougher, when it's a little bit, deeper rooted, when you're in the journey. And then when those things happen, of course, like you're going to misstep, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to, have things that just come punch you in the gut. And you're going to have these things where you're going to have to make decisions, you're going to have to cut things out, you're going to have to just go all in and focus more, and you're going to have to just deal with it. And most of those times when you are going through those times, like nobody wants to support you. Nobody wants to be alongside you in those moments, because it's like maybe they don't want to associate with like the struggles or the missteps or the mistakes, or they don't want to like be involved with all that struggle. And now they might see it, even if you're like somewhat winning, they're like, oh, okay, like he's winning now, he's good, like he doesn't even need our support, like he's too good for us, he's uh he's now the boss man, he's doing all these things that he doesn't really need us, he's like cool now and whatever, it doesn't matter. When internally for yourself, you're like, this is not even where I want to be. Like, this is just the beginning. This is the hard work. This is the journey. This isn't even like close to what I want to be creating. And if you haven't gone through this yet, where you've felt this middle journey experience, that anybody who's achieved anything great has gone through. Anybody, like everybody, you go pretty much dark. Like you can look at anybody's beginning success and then they're like, oh, where did they go? And then all of a sudden, like 10 years later, they like pop off and you're like, oh my gosh, like he just like popped up overnight. It's like, no, you missed the 10-year journey. You missed that 10-year period. And wow, I forgot where I was going with this. My goodness. Like I said, I wasn't very clear today. Uh, like within that 10-year journey, like that's where everything goes dark and you don't have that support anymore. And then so if you haven't gone through this, I assure, if you want to do anything great, if you want to create any change, if you want to do things really different, if you're trying to go big, you're going to feel this. And if you don't ever feel it, it's probably because you're not doing enough and you're not doing it differently enough in a unique way. And you're not maybe living your life. You're not maybe living through yourself. You might be living through others. You might be making decisions based on others' opinions. Because anybody that really leads their own life in their own way tends to be against the grain, right? You're not going to be with the societal norms. You're not going to be doing what, groups of people collaborate and, create good and bad labels for. You're just going to do things because it's within your life. Like it's going to be within your decision making. It's going to be you trying to figure out. You're going to make mistakes. You're just going to like make so many decisions. You're going to make so many action. You're going to take so much action that you're going to misstep in places. And not many people are willing to do that. So like you're going to be seen way different. Like people are going to talk shit about you. There's still going to be people that support you. I would say most of the people that are going to support you are the ones that are like super grounded and understand the work, or the ones that are usually ahead of you, because they know exactly what you're going through and they know exactly how much you can do and how much you can get through that. And because of they've already been through it. It's not like quite honestly, it's not even a big surprise to me sometimes when I'm going through certain stuff. I'm like, well, this is exactly what every mentor I've talked to said he's gone through. This is exactly what anybody who's done anything great has gone through. And this is exactly why I'm here. This is exactly what I should be doing. And you have to have that mindset when you're in the middle. Because if you just think like you're singled out, you're the only one, and you're some special, special snowflake, if you will, that you're not gonna, go through these pains, these challenges, uh, these relationship problems, these, business problems, these losses. You're gonna lose money. You're gonna be on the brink of like being like, I don't even know where my next dollar is coming from. And if you don't really go through those problems, like quite honestly, you probably won't be ever doing enough to get to the level that you aspire to be, or where your mentors are, because each of them will tell you like that's just what it is. It's as simple as like an equation at that time. It's like you just have to. It's you can't be special. You can't route around it. It just is what it is. Like it's out of your control most of the time. If you are wanting to do things that are way different, it's like out of your control a lot of these other aspects that are just going to happen. And when when you're in the middle, now let me reference this again for another analogy of what the middle like might be on a like a outside view. If you maybe yourself you have siblings, you might be like a middle child or an older child, a youngest child. But what is the typical chemistry between the siblings, or how the family runs? It usually is the youngest is always considered the baby, right? And he is babied, and he's always babied, and that's why like he he gets like special treatment throughout, his childhood versus the other two. But then the oldest is given like a leadership responsibility on the top. Like they're the ones that kind of, lead the way, decide how things go, and they're just respected in a different realm because they were the first one. But then the middle one is now like pretty much caught between the two, but like doesn't really get either because he's not young enough to be babied, and he's not old enough to be like in the leader position. He is just there, or he or she. Like if you are a middle child, you probably understand this. I'm a middle child. Not that like it's a huge deal for me, but I have seen it in a lot of other examples as well, or it's like just a societal like norm of like how even inside of family it can be changed and considered like you have the baby. Like everybody knows, like you have the babied one, and then you have the one that's just the oldest, that pretty much had to, set the trail first, and just lead the way and push through, and usually is top dog, and it's just how it is. And that's the same way the journey is. It's like you have the beginning where you're babied by support. Like you have these people that like baby you, and then when you're in the middle of it, you're like, I mean, you get nothing. Like it's just, is what it is. Like there's not enough on either side to, you're too old or too, grown to be babied, but you're not quite there to be seen as like the leader or top dog. And that's what all about, the middle of the journey is. It's like nobody is going to support you and baby you, but nobody's going to see you as a leader. Like that's it. And that's where it's also the hardest. Like it's the hardest time within the journey itself. And then it's the hardest time within like support. It's like you don't get support. It's just you do have like some support, but you don't get the amount of support that you get as a baby, or the leader, right? Or the eldest. You don't get that respect like the eldest, and you don't get the assistance like the babied, because you're just too caught in the middle. Like there's nothing anybody really gives you. It's up to you to then just figure it out and just go through it alone. And this is also where the middle comes in many different areas. Like you can be in the middle in a growth period, like between social groups. Say, you're starting out, you're like within this, say, friend group, and then all of a sudden, like, you're climbing the ladder, you're like going above it, and then all of a sudden, you're doing things different than the friend group you have. So, like, they don't quite understand what you're doing, and it's quite hard to communicate them what you're doing, and in fact even your actions, like your schedules and what you do is just it's just different. It ends up being different. The way you think is different. The way you operate is different, and so you start stretching away from them. But then you're not really quite respected enough into the next social group. Like you're not able to really make those next friends because you haven't made it yet. Like you haven't had those results to be in that realm. And then let's just attach a number to it to make this pretty easy for you to understand, for any analytical type people, logic people. And by the way, like a lot of this, yeah, it's gonna emotionally like probably shake you up and be like, well, like it's still not gonna happen to me, or I love these people. It's like, yeah, it's okay. Like you're gonna love all these people. It just is what it is if you're wanting to do anything and grow. But let's just say like you're somebody that is just starting out. Like you're still working a 9 to 5. You make like 50 grand a year. But then you like start your own business and you get all this support, and then you're finally like reaching realms of like 6 figures, and then you're learning a bunch in the business space. You're just going through all these lessons, and you're just growing so fast that like you're now in the 6 figure realm. But I mean, making like 100 to 200 grand really doesn't show for anything as much, and then you're still not grown personally yet to fit with the people between like 500 or like a million a year sort of deal. And but those people that earn like 500,000 to a million a year is where your head's focused. Like that's where you're directed towards. Those they share the same uh, level of drive and commitments, and there are people in that group that are just more you, but you're not quite there yet because you haven't shown the results. So it's very tough to fit in because they're also thinking like, when they're in the million a year, like, I mean, you're in that 100,000 to 200,000 or like 300,000 range, and you're just like, well, guys, like I'm going through these problems, and they're probably looking at you like, dude, those are like so small problems. Like I don't even have to worry about those things anymore. Like you're now like a baby in that group. You're like, dude, just just do this. Like just grow up. Just do it. It's like those are so small. And then you each stage you go through, this happens, and then it's always just like one little like middle ground area that is like you're you're trying to pull yourself towards one, and like there's one that you kind of want to keep there because like there's still people you enjoyed hanging out with, but it's just harder now. It's just you guys aren't very aligned as much anymore. And within this middle period, you are like set alone. And not alone in the sense that there aren't I'm not saying there aren't others that are, in that period themselves. Because there is actually plenty of people that are in that middle period. It's just very hard to find them because, again, there's nothing special in a way of like, they aren't the ones starting out and they haven't really achieved it yet. So they don't have anything to really grasp on to sell themselves with. Be like, here's what I've done. Uh, but they're going through it. Like they're getting there. They're going through the journey. And they're trying to prove themselves. So until you prove yourself, until you show that you can get those results, you are like a nobody. You are just, well, going through the journey. And that's also why I've wanted to set up these videos, is to be more of like raw and show the journey, because nobody shows it. Like you see the beginning of things, and then you see the end of things when everybody's respected. But then you don't understand like the middle is what made it all. And the middle was the hardest part. And everybody has these like, thoughts of quitting or thoughts of going completely under, and you have these experiences that just shake you up, and put so much stress and weight on your shoulders that you think you can't get through them, but in fact you can. and others have proved that they can as well. But then in the moment, you absolutely think you can't. And this middle period, I think if you looked at in many different facets of life, you can find examples within yourself. You're like, wow, that's right. Like I was in that like middle period where, I was going from doing these activities to then like I decided I wanted to change myself. And because I was changing myself, uh, I didn't want to hang out with those people anymore that were doing those activities. So I just tried doing different activities, but then I couldn't reach the level of the people that were already way past it, like wouldn't even think about the activities that I was doing. So I'm not quite respected enough to be in that group because I'm very fresh in changing my activities. Like I have no proof of like actually change. It's more of just like the idea. It's more of just the doing the work first. And then you get to the point where then it becomes a new standard of like, yeah, you've been doing this for this amount of time, you got these results, and now you can be in that group and do those new activities. And then at some point, you'll want to get to the next one. And then you'll realize what got you there doesn't get you to the next one. So then you'll have to change up your activities again, cut out certain things again, and get to that next rung. And then you'll find that middle point, and you'll be like, well, I can't be doing exactly what they're doing anymore. And, maybe some of them even tapered off, like they're going to stay where they're at. They're not really growing. I need to change things up, cut things out, and then get to the new ones. And this is just like a constant cycle for long periods of time, constant cycle. And then that middle journey is also a very long period of just these constant cycles until you wake up and then all of a sudden people think, wow, he just threw shit together and woke up one day and had it all. And then you will also have a ton of people hate, right? You'd be like, this guy's winning, and then they'll probably hate on you, they'll envy you. But in the end of it, you'll have a lot more people that are rooting for you and respecting you, that nothing will really even matter. And not only like once you reach that point, you don't even need the support anymore, really. Like you've already proved to yourself you can get through it. And you're at such a point where it's like you're good. Like you can get to the next one just as easy, and you have enough resources to do it all. And you know the struggles. Like you don't really care for the support as much. It's like whatever. Like this is it. And I've already gone through the really hard wars and hard battles, and I'm probably going to go through more. And now that I know that there's always going to be a next hard thing, I don't really care to have the support. I've already gone through it alone. I've already built myself alone. I know I can do anything alone now. So then at that point, there's there's no reason for you to need support because you've already proven to yourself you didn't need it. And those are the times where you get the most support. It's like when you don't necessarily need it. You're like, I mean, the beginning stages, like it can help for the support, but at the end of the day, it's just more about like you just got to take action on it. It's sometimes usually easy too because then you are that new guy that everybody wants to just, ooh, I want to just help you, or I want to just give you the opportunities. You kind of sell yourself on that too, where it's like you're the new guy that will focus more on your clients. You'll put extra attention to detail just to make sure you can sharpen your skills and prove to them that they can trust you. And also others will also see that kind of work ethic, and they'll be like, yeah, I want this guy to win. And then eventually it'll just taper off. It will happen. And then it'll be like just a norm, and then you're going to be just like everybody else that was already supporting you, that were like maybe a little bit above you. Maybe you're in the same realm as them now, and they're like, well, you're not really the new guy anymore, so I mean, we don't need to baby you and support you. You're kind of like within what we're doing, so you don't need our help. And then that happens a lot of times. It's gonna happen. And especially if it doesn't happen, then you should probably question if you're doing enough or doing things in a unique way that are within, your own decision making, not others' opinions. Usually if you follow the pack, it's not going to give you different results. So you got to just make your own decisions, run with it, and then learn from your own mistakes. And then learn from any lesson that you can. Like any experience, good or bad, can give you things to build off of. And then people will always find a reason to hate at you for something, especially if like you start doing good, and then you mess up something, and then they'll probably talk about the bad, and then they'll shit on you because you're doing good. It's just what happens. Like you're gonna feel it. It you probably have no way to get around it. And I say that because I even thought many times for myself, like I might have been special, that I didn't want certain things to happen the way I've talked to other entrepreneurs, and I'm like, I've heard their stories, and I'm like, oh, like I'll just make sure of it, like those things just don't happen. Like I want to have happiness and peace with like everybody, or I want to have like this level of support with everybody. Not even like to me, like to them. It's like I want to have this community thing, throughout the whole journey. It doesn't have to be like negative. And then it happens, you're like, oh, they were right. Like I've heard this before. It's exactly what they told me was going to happen. It's exactly how they said it happened. And I was like, I thought I was special because I was staying away from it. And it wasn't necessarily happening for me. It wasn't going to be a problem. It wasn't going to be a pain I had to go through or a pain I was going to have. I was going to be some special snowflake that that didn't have this. And then you kind of happens, and you're just like, oh my gosh. Like there is no way around it. And a lot of it's like out of your control too. So you're like, well, it happened. Even if you didn't even want it to, even if you didn't try to make it happen, it just does. And that's the point where it's like you lost, you lose a lot of support you thought you had, or you don't hang out with the groups you thought you were going to, or you thought you could still be fine with those people that you truly like weren't aligned with, but you still wanted to support and respect them for the route they were going. You might have wished they like did a little bit more, but like deep down that that's just what they wanted for themselves and their life. And so you had this like level of support and care for it, but then at the end of the day, things were just unaligned, and things will always break, right? If it can break, it will. And that's something I've learned, is if usually it's always the hardest thing is what's going to happen. Anything that you can think of right now as being the hardest path, the hardest feeling that's going to happen, most likely that is what is going to happen. Or, excuse me, that's what should happen, frankly. Like that's what should happen to get to where you need to go. And it's a hard one to stomach. Like it's a hard pill to swallow when you realize you're like, yeah, it's just going to be the hard stuff pretty much all the time. And then it's not to be a negative Nancy here. It's just like, it's the truth. It's like, you're not going to just do the easy stuff. You're not going to just have the easy path. You're not just going to be the singled out one that's going to have an easy route. Everyone that wants to do anything great has to go through the hard one, has to make hard decisions, has to cut things out, and it's going to be hard. Whether that's what what your actions you're doing, whether it's like, alcohol that's very hard for you to cut out, whether that's certain activities or people. It's like the middle journey is when you do all those things, and you're doing all this cutting out, and you're just changing things in a weird direction that nobody else really understands. Like you're completely misunderstood. And because you're completely misunderstood, like everybody's gonna pretend you're doing something wrong, or like they're gonna think you're doing something wrong. But then you get the other side, and they're gonna be like, oh, he was right, or like, oh, he got there, like he had to go through all these things. It's like, cool. It's like, yeah, but you guys are the ones that told me it was all wrong, and I was doing shitty within the journey. but but then eventually you get there. And now, of course, I don't have enough to back those up because, again, I'm in the middle of the journey. But I can say from uh, a reference point of view of hearing it from others many times over and over, that's exactly what happens. And when I think about where I am right now, it's like, oh, they've all told me this before. This is exactly what needs to happen. This is exactly what happens. And it kind of like lets some weight off the shoulders, being like, I'm exactly where I should be. Like, this is why nobody else does this. This is why many decide to not go this route. But this is why I will win if I go through this, if I push harder, if I lean into the mess, if I lean into the hard. That's what will make me different, and that's what will make me set myself apart and win, be a winner. Be doubted, be misunderstood, be unsupported, be disliked. If you want to do any good, quite honestly, you're going to be disliked. Because if you're just going to do everything based on the others' opinions, you're never going to be respected. And most of the time, you're never actually going to be doing anything good or great. So just feel it all when you're in the middle. Just feel it all and keep pushing forward even stronger, even harder. Because there will be an end to that season. And then there will be another one. And there will be a long period of it too. There will be one where like you're just forgotten about. It's like you become the middle. You become like a norm. It's just what happens. And then all of a sudden, boom. All of a sudden you're big. All of a sudden people look back and you're like, oh my gosh. He's this, he's that, he's doing that now. He's accomplished all this now. It's like, yeah, well, that's what happens when you go through every day with a win. And not every day is going to be easy. Not every day is going to be known of exactly where you're going. Some days you're going to be cloudy, like this. Some days are going to be, you're not going to have the blueprint. Like, you're not going to understand, like, what to do next. And each day you think you're not moving forward. Each day you think you're not growing. But when you look back and add it all up, you are. You might not feel like you're growing right now. You might not feel like anything's going the way you want it to be. You might not feel like you're getting closer to your goals. You're not achieving any results that get you anywhere. And that might not be true. It's just they're added up. They're struggles that are added up over time and take reps and time to come to full completion, to be noticed, to be understood, to then be seen and supported and respected. And if you want more videos, or if you want a more podcast style, I've just started uploading all of these to my podcast. And the podcast, get ready for it, it's called The Middle, because frankly, I think everybody wants to know what goes on in the middle. And that's my whole goal with this, is to show the middle. I'm a middle child. I think there's a lot of things that I reference the middle to being. And the middle is actually where you want to be. The middle is where you want to be. Separate yourself from the past. You're going to be in the middle, and you're going to want to get to the future. You're always going to be in the middle of your past and your future. So I'll drop the link down below. You guys can listen to it in podcast form. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.